Imagine possessing a secret key, one that unlocks the hidden corridors of another person's mind, a key that decodes fleeting whispers of emotion, unspoken hesitations, and buried desires. Welcome to MindShift Playbook, where we illuminate the subtle art of psychological insight. Today, I invite you on an immersive journey through 5 sophisticated techniques that will transform you into a perceptive thinker capable of reading anyone's mind. With subtlety, finesse, and undeniable impact, prepare yourself for deep dives into the science of facial cues, body language, language patterns, strategic questioning, and the psychological phenomena that make us all so beautifully predictable. Ready? Let's begin. Our faces are canvases upon which emotions paint their truth. But these emotional brushstrokes often last for a mere 1/25th of a second, so brief that most people never notice them. Pioneering psychologist Paul Ekman devoted decades to cataloging these microexpressions, revealing that there are 7 universal emotional displays: joy, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, disgust, and contempt. When someone tries to conceal their feelings, these expressions slip through, so rapidly that you must train yourself to see them in high-definition, mental slow motion. Consider this scenario. You're presenting a bold proposal at work, and a colleague, ostensibly supportive, offers polite applause. But watch closely. Their eyebrows momentarily knit together, eyes flicker sideways, and the corners of their mouth tighten, an almost imperceptible micro-expression of contempt. In that instant, they have betrayed their true skepticism. If you can catch and interpret these milliseconds-long betrayals, you'll know precisely what they think. How to hone your observation. 1. Focus on the upper face. The eyes and brows often leak emotions more honestly than the mouth, which people attempt to control consciously. Watch for rapid eyebrow raises, surprise, or quick furrowing, anger or confusion. 2. Study contextual baselines. Before launching into intense observation, note how a person typically looks when neutral. Is their default expression relaxed? Tense? Once you know the baseline, deviations become glaringly obvious. 3. Practice with slow-motion footage. Study televised interviews or film scenes in slow motion. Freeze frame each micro-expression and label it. Regularly training this way sharpens your ability to catch them in real life. Imagine attending a negotiation dinner. As the lead negotiator outlines terms, the opposing counsel nods slowly, voice steady. But a second before they utter "agreed," their jaw clenches, a small frown flickers, and their gaze drops. That split-second moment reveals their unease. They're reluctantly complying, not wholeheartedly consenting. You've just read their mind. They believe these terms are unfavorable. Memory tip. Think of micro-expressions like the fleeting frames in a flipbook. Blink, and the truth vanishes. There exists a primal, subconscious force that binds humans, the innate tendency to coordinate our behaviors with those around us. Psychologists call this phenomenon the chameleon effect, where individuals subconsciously imitate others' postures, gestures, and vocal patterns. When you mirror and match someone's movements, ever so subtly, you cultivate an unshakable sense of rapport. And when rapport is deep, people relax. Their mental filters lower, and they unwittingly disclose their inner thoughts. Picture a quiet conversation in a dimly lit cafe. You lean forward to sip your coffee. Seconds later, they do the same. You mirror the slight tilt of their head as they explain something important, and your voice softens to match their cadence. In that moment, you've synchronized your rhythms. Science tells us that mirrored pairs experience a surge of empathy and mutual understanding, as if brainwaves briefly align. Practical steps to master mirroring. 1. Observe subtle cues. Before mirroring, spend a minute silently observing. Notice if they've crossed their legs, the angle of their shoulders, how they hold their hand when speaking. 2. Begin slowly and softly. Mirror only one gesture at a time. A tilt of the head, a hand placed on the table, so you don't appear robotic. The goal is to create flow, not mechanical mimicry. 3. Adjust vocal pace and tone. If they speak softly and at a measured pace, lower the volume of your voice and slow your speech. If they speak with animated enthusiasm, allow your inflection to rise slightly. Now imagine the payoff. As you mirror their posture and speech, they sense an unconscious bond. This person understands me, and they feel safe to open up. When they finally articulate a worry or desire, you realize it's precisely what's been on their mind. Warning, over-mirroring is perceptible. If you copy every gesture in quick succession, they might find it off-putting. Think of mirroring as an echo, not a tape loop, gentle, selective, and timed. Beyond body language lies the subtler strata of language patterns and vocal characteristics. The words people choose and how they deliver them offer a hidden roadmap to their inner state. Neuroscience reveals that individuals attempting deception often engage additional cognitive resources, slowing down speech and injecting speech disfluencies, ums, uhs, repeated syllables, to buy time. Conversely, someone speaking passionately or nervously might speak faster, with a higher pitch. Let's analyze a simple sentence. Honestly, I didn't take your pen. On the surface, a denial. But that initial qualifier, honestly, functions as a red flag. It serves as a self-reassurance and signals potential dishonesty. People don't add qualifiers unless they feel compelled to strengthen weak convictions. Key linguistic indicators to monitor. 1. Qualifiers and overspecificity. Phrases like "to be fair," "I'm not gonna lie," or "frankly speaking" often precede a mental justification. When someone says, "Frankly, I'm not upset," they may be upset, hiding truth behind rhetorical devices. 2. Verb tense shifts. Watch for evasion tactics. If you ask, "Did you see him at the meeting?" and they respond, "I was seeing him," rather than "I saw him," the shift in tense can indicate a cushion to distance from a lie. 3. Verbosity versus conciseness. People telling the truth often give just enough detail. A liar might provide an avalanche of unnecessary specifics to appear more credible. "I left home at 8:12 precisely, took the red bus, sat in seat 22. Distinguish between relevant context and extraneous detail. Now, vocal cues. Speech rate. A liar's speech often slows by roughly 20% as they search for plausible content, but heightened anxiety can induce rapid, clipped sentences. Anchor your interpretation by observing baseline pace. Pitch fluctuations. A voice suddenly climbing into a higher register can betray stress. When someone claims "I'm calm," but their pitch spikes, their practiced composure may be teetering. Pauses and fillers. Notice elongated or before a key statement. It's a mental stalling device. White space for fabricating or embellishing. Consider an interpersonal exchange. You ask, "Are you certain you can finish the project by Monday?" They respond, Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've always been able to handle last-minute tasks." Observe the hesitation and overconfidence. The lie detaches from spontaneity. In that moment, you deduce their underlying thought. "I'm actually not certain, but I want you to think I am." Words carry power, but questions shape reality. The fourth method involves mastering strategic questioning, the art of guiding someone to reveal hidden layers of thought without suspecting they're under any scrutiny. This technique combines the elegance of conversational flow with psychological insight, prompting people to volunteer more information than they intended. The principle of open-ended specificity. 1. Avoid binary traps. Instead of, "Did you enjoy the dinner?" ask, "What moment at dinner surprised you the most?" The latter compels them to reconstruct their experience, detailing both actions and emotions, windows into their inner state. 2. Leverage temporal anchors. Questions like, "Can you walk me through how you decided on that career change last Friday?" Force them to mentally revisit a decision-making process. The more they reconstruct, the more they whisper their genuine motivations. 3. Incorporate emotional probes. Follow up factual inquiries with, "How did that make you feel?" Most people, when asked to articulate feelings, exhibit a brief cognitive hiccup, a pause or lip press, indicating they're peeling back an emotional layer. Imagine an interview scenario. You want to understand your colleague's reluctance about a new project. Instead of asking, "Are you nervous about the launch?" you say, "Tell me about a moment during the planning phase when you felt uneasy." As they pause, searching memory, You witness a subtle drop in their voice's pitch. They continue. It was when we realized our resources were stretched too thin. Suddenly, you've uncovered the specific event-planting seeds of doubt. Knowledge you wouldn't have gained from a blunt yes, no question. The power of the silent pause. After posing a profound question, resist filling the silence. Let the air hang heavy for a beat longer than feels comfortable. People instinctively rush to fill that void, often offering more detail than they intended. That moment of vulnerability can crack open an entire vault of hidden thought. The mirror question variation. If someone makes a declarative statement, "I'm sure it'll work," counter with, "What makes you so sure?" This slight challenge compels them to rationalize their claim, revealing either genuine confidence or underlying uncertainty. Watch their microexpressions and vocal subtlety as they attempt to justify. Our final technique taps into a universal quirk of human cognition known as the Barnum Effect, the tendency to accept vague, general statements as uniquely applicable to ourselves. Think of horoscopes. You have recently overcome a challenge and are ready for new opportunities. Who wouldn't nod? Because at some point, everyone faces challenges. By weaving high-probability guesses with just enough specificity, you create the illusion of psychic accuracy. Crafting the composite portrait. 1. Identify universal emotional experiences. Almost everyone, at some point, feels uncertain about their path. Phrases like, "You sometimes question whether you're living up to your true potential," resonate broadly. 2. Add a touch of personalization. Precede the universal statement with a subtle observation. "I see firsthand that you're diligent, always pushing yourself to the edge." Even if you know nothing about them, that compliment lulls them into agreement. Then deliver the universal insight. 3. Layer multiple high-probability guesses. Combine variables such as career, relationships, or family. For instance, it seems you've been juggling demands at work and home, feeling torn between dedication to your job and the desire for quality time with loved ones. For most adults, this will echo true. Picture yourself at a networking event approaching a stranger. You begin. "I sense you've recently faced a significant crossroads, perhaps a job opportunity or a relationship shift. And while you're excited by new possibilities, you also feel a subtle pang of uncertainty." By carefully choosing elements most people share, you craft a statement that feels bespoke, even though it applies to many. The listener's mind says, "How could they know that?" When in reality, you've simply known them humanely. Ethical consideration. With great power comes responsibility. The Barnum Effect can illuminate common truths or be misused to manipulate. Use this technique with integrity. Invite self-reflection rather than deceit. You now possess 5 intellectually rich, scientifically grounded techniques to peer into another person's mind. 1. Microexpressions. Detect the subconscious flickers of genuine emotion. 2. Mirror and match. Forge unspoken bonds that lower defenses, revealing quiet truths. 3. Linguistic and vocal clues. Decode hidden meanings in words and tone. 4. Strategic questioning. Steer conversations to coax out concealed thoughts. 5. Barnum Effect and high-probability guesses. Harness universal patterns to craft eerily accurate insight, yet knowledge alone is not mastery. I challenge you to choose one technique and employ it deliberately in your next real-world interaction. Record, either mentally or on camera, how the person reacts. Notice their microexpressions, the shifts in vocal tone, or the moment they offer more detail than they planned. Share your observations, tag @MindShift Playbook, and use the hashtag #MindReaderChallenge. Let's see how far you can push the boundaries of human understanding. If these methods resonated with you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to MindShift Playbook, and ring that notification bell, because next time we'll dive even deeper into the labyrinth of social influence and cognition. Comment below, which technique do you find most intriguing? Which mind-reading strategy will you explore first? Stay curious, stay perceptive. And remember, the most extraordinary mind-reading journey begins not with telepathy, but with a willingness to observe, question, and connect on a deeper level. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep shifting your mind.